Have you ever watched something and just tried to figure out what's really going on between people, beyond the surface?
Oh, definitely. Especially with relationships that are, well, complicated to begin with.
Exactly. So today, we're kind of digging into some of that. We're looking at interpersonal dynamics, even some business stuff, using excerpts from a specific YouTube video.
Right. This one's called Sister Wives Robyn Brown Finally Exposed for Turning Sister Wives into Servants, Scamming Fans. It's from the Without a Crystal Ball channel.
Yeah, it puts forward a pretty specific take on Robin Brown's role in the Sister Wives family and her business.
So our mission here, let's say, isn't really about deciding if the video is right or wrong overall. It's more about unpacking the claims it makes.
Yeah.
We're focusing on two main things the video brings up. First, these allegations about unequal treatment, this idea of a servant dynamic in the family.
Hmm.
And second, the issues raised about that online business, My Sister Wives Closet.
Got it. So let's start with the family dynamics, this unequal treatment idea. The video brings up something Christine shared, a memory from a camping trip. Big Bear, maybe?
Yeah, around 2010, 2011, something like that. It was shown in, I think, season 4.
Right. And Christine remembered, she and Janelle were super busy, setting up camp, chores, all that.
Busting their butts, as the video put it.
Yeah. While Robin apparently spent ages, getting ready, doing her makeup.
And the key part, according to the video's interpretation of Christine's memory, was Cody's reaction.
What was that?
That Cody seemed to really praise Robyn for how she looked, but didn't really acknowledge the effort the others were putting in.
Huh. So the video sees that as a pattern, favoring Robin's appearance over, say, Christine and Janelle's work.
That's the interpretation presented, yeah. That it kind of set a tone. What gets valued, what gets praised.
It paints a picture, doesn't it? Makes you think about how those little moments add up.
It really does. And then you have Janelle's perspective.
What'd you say?
Well, publicly, Janelle has apparently said things like, that didn't really bother her.
Okay.
But the video host is, let's say, skeptical about that. They bring up how later in Vegas, the show really focused on Janelle losing weight.
Oh, right. And Cody's reaction to that.
Exactly, his positive reaction. So the video questions if maybe Janelle was bothered earlier, even if she didn't say so, or maybe felt pressure later on related to appearance.
It's complex, trying to figure out what's happening beneath the surface versus what's said publicly.
Always is, especially on reality TV. People might downplay things for peace, or maybe it's just how they cope. We don't always see the full story.
The video also mentions Mary talking about Cody buying clothes for the wives.
To make sure they looked nice, apparently.
Yeah. And the video host frames that as potentially controlling. Were they dressing for themselves or just for Cody's approval?
Well, if you put that together with the alleged favoritism towards Robyn's appearance, the video suggests it could be part of a larger pattern, maybe? Influence over something as personal as clothing choices?
Another way power dynamics might have played out.
Potentially, yeah. That's the angle the source takes.
Okay, let's shift a bit. The relationships between the wives themselves, specifically Janelle, Mary, and Robyn. The video notes that their falling out was discussed recently on the show.
Right, but it highlights that Robyn's perspective mostly came through in her talking heads, those one-on-one interviews with producers.
Not so much in direct talks with Mary or Janelle.
Apparently not in that specific context discussed in the video, which, makes it harder to get the full picture when it's just individual accounts, less chance for back and forth.
And the video claims Robyn often played the victim. Is that right?
That's the assertion. And specifically that she blamed Mary for their relationship problems, supposedly because Mary was bad-mouthing her online.
Wow, okay. That's a direct accusation.
It is. And the video interprets that as Robyn maybe deflecting, shifting the blame away from herself. Hard to know without seeing exactly what was supposedly said online, of course.
Then there's this anecdote about Robyn showing up with a gift for Mary after Mary and Cody had split.
Ah, yes. The video really focuses on the commentary around that.
What was the commentary?
Well, Janelle apparently made a comment like, if Cody and Nathan hadn't been there to see it, she probably wouldn't have shown up.
Oof. That's pointed.
And Mary's reaction was noted too, something like, okay, now she shows up after we've split.
So the interpretation is that it was maybe performative.
That's what the video suggests, performative, or maybe wanting to keep tabs on Cody, given the split. They even link it back to some earlier joke mentioned on the show about Robyn always needing to know where Cody was.
Interesting. The timing in those comments definitely invite that kind of speculation.
Makes you wonder about the motivations behind gestures in such a tangled situation.
The video also claims Robyn wasn't really available for things. like shared activity.
Yeah, that she often had excuses, which led the video host to infer that maybe the friendships with the other wives were more for the show, less genuine.
Because real friendships usually involve, showing up.
Pretty much. Reciprocity, making time for each other. If that's consistently missing, you can see why doubts would creep in, according to the source.
And Mary was apparently quite blunt about it.
Very direct. The video highlights her saying something like, "I don't know how to be friends with my ex-husband's wife."
Wow.
Yeah, and she apparently voiced doubts about Robyn's honesty, her willingness to take responsibility.
That really signals a deep breakdown in trust, doesn't it?
Absolutely. When you openly question someone's honesty like that, it suggests a lot of difficult history there.
The video digs into what might be behind that distrust from Mary's side. Some potential unanswered questions.
Right. Things like the details around the legal divorce Mary gave Cody so he could marry Robyn and adopt her kids.
Okay.
Also, the timeline of when Cody and Robyn actually started their relationship. There were apparently rumors they met before Mary even introduced them.
Oh, that would definitely sting if true.
Yeah.
And financials, too.
Financial matters, yeah. These seem to be lingering issues for Mary, according to the video's analysis of her statements. Big, unresolved things that can cause lasting pain.
And there was something about Mary's child, Leon,
Yeah, the video mentions a disagreement there. It implies that what Cody and Robyn say publicly about Leon might not match their private feelings.
which adds another layer of complexity, navigating personal beliefs versus a public image.
And it can erode trust even further if people feel there's a disconnect between public support and private views.
So given all this, the video emphasizes Mary feeling like talking to Robyn is just pointless.
Pretty much. That she anticipates dishonesty, a refusal by Robyn to even acknowledge Mary's perspective on things like manipulation or feeling wronged.
Like the communication door is completely shut.
That's the impression given, a lack of faith that any conversation could be productive or honest.
The video also brings up Mary hearing that Robyn was supposedly bashing her, making fun of her. That must have hurt.
Of course, and it contrasts that with Robyn's narrative.
What was Robyn's take?
Robyn, in her interviews, apparently talked about feeling like a failure, that the family just couldn't get past jealousy, and that everyone else became too self-involved.
Okay, so very different viewpoints.
Very. And the video host interprets Robyn's statements there as possible projection, like maybe accusing others of the things she herself was doing.
Interesting psychological take. It's common for people in conflict to see the same events totally differently.
Absolutely. Projection is one way people sometimes cope or avoid looking inward.
The video then zooms out a bit, mentioning the general atmosphere that led to the family breaking apart. Lack of trust.
Unfair fighting, hitting below the belt, jumping to conclusions, name-calling, all those destructive patterns.
Sounds like a really tough environment to live in.
Definitely hallmarks of relationships under extreme stress, where healthy communication is just gone. Especially that lack of trust makes everything harder.
Then there's Cody's justification for favoring Robyn. The video mentions him saying she provides a cloak of charity.
Yes. And the video host has a strong interpretation of that phrase.
Which is,
That it means Robyn would essentially lie for him, back him up no matter what, provide cover for his actions.
wow. And the implication for Christine, who didn't always go along with him.
The video suggests Christine got the scraps, less affection, fewer resources, because she wasn't willing to provide that unquestioning support or, as the video frames it, wasn't willing to comply.
That paints a really stark picture of loyalty being rewarded, even if it meant compromising truth.
It suggests a very transactional dynamic
Yeah.
based on that interpretation. Unequal distribution based on compliance.
And speaking of unequal distribution, the video brings up Christine noticing differences in their homes.
Yeah, the quality, the amount of stuff. Christine apparently observed that Robyn's home seemed much better appointed than the others.
Suggesting Cody wasn't distributing finances equally.
That's the implication drawn in the video. And it mentions Christine's now husband, David, validating that those kinds of disparities and the arguments they cause aren't really normal or healthy in a family.
Right. Significant differences in living standards within the same family unit would naturally cause feelings of unfairness.
Resentment, feeling undervalued. David's comment, as reported, seems to reinforce that this wasn't just typical family squabbling.
Okay, let's pivot now. The second major area the video tackles. The my sister wives closet business.
Right. This has been a source of complaints for a while, apparently.
What kind of complaints? The video mentions viewers reporting they bought stuff.
And never received it. Or couldn't get refunds, and when they tried to contact someone, they just got silence.
Oh, man, that's incredibly frustrating for a customer. Terrible business practice.
Absolutely. Especially for people in the public eye, your reputation is on the line. Failing to deliver goods or communicate erodes trust really fast.
Was there awareness inside the family about this?
It seems so. The video mentions Jen on the show bringing up a message from an unhappy customer.
Okay.
And Mary apparently confirmed she saw that message and even sent a screenshot to Robyn, hoping Robyn would sort it out, issue a refund.
So Mary knew and tried to get Robyn to fix it.
That's what the video suggests Mary did. It shows some level of awareness and concern, at least from Mary's side, even if she wasn't running the business directly.
Now, Robyn's public statement on the show was that the business was on hold.
Mm-hmm. But the video host claims they looked into it
Right.
and found that the company itself wasn't just on hold, it was actually dissolved, legally finished.
That's different.
It's a pretty significant difference, yeah. But here's the kicker, according to the video,
What's that?
the website, still up, and the shopping cart, still active. People could still apparently place orders.
Wait, for a company that's dissolved?
That's the claim, which, the video argues, makes no sense if the business isn't operating. Why let people give you money for products you can't send?
Yeah, that seems
Yeah.
not right.
The video host uses pretty strong language, calling it illogical and essentially ripping people off.
And they see Mary forwarding that customer complaint as basically confirming these long-standing accusations.
That seems to be their interpretation, yes. That Mary's action lent weight to the idea that these customer issues were real and known. The core issue is transparency, responsible conduct.
You'd think if the business is gone, you'd just turn off the website, or at least the part where people pay.
Exactly. The video stresses how simple that would be. Disable the cart, put up a notice, standard stuff.
So why wouldn't Robyn have done that? The video questions this,
it's
especially since she seems active online elsewhere.
right. They mention her Etsy presence, suggesting she has the time and know how to manage online things. So leaving the old business site active, capable of taking money, it raises questions about intent, according to the source.
It does make you wonder, if it's defunct, shutting down the sales part seems like step one.
Seems like the responsible thing to do, yeah.
So wrapping this up, we've covered a lot of ground based on this one YouTube video's perspective.
Definitely. We've looked at these claims about the family dynamics, the alleged unequal treatment, the favoritism, the relationship breakdowns.
And all the different viewpoints from Christine, Mary, Janelle, and Robyn filtered through the lens of this video.
And then the whole situation with the My Sister Wives Closet business, the customer complaints, the dissolved company versus the active website.
It's clear from the source material presented that there are very different stories being told. No easy answers or clear consensus.
It really makes you think, though. What does this kind of analysis, even from one critical source, tell us about just how complex relationships can be, especially under unusual pressures like plural marriage and reality TV?
And what about accountability? In personal relationships, in business? How do we even figure out what's fair or true when dealing with conflicting personal narratives?
Yeah, how do you, listening to this, interpret all these different accounts? What motivations might be driving people's actions or how they tell their story?
It certainly underscores the challenge of getting the whole truth, especially when reality TV editing and individual interviews shape so much of what we see.
It's never the full picture.
And maybe a final thought to leave people with. Could these specific conflicts and discrepancies we've talked about, could they actually point to broader challenges?
Like what?
Like, the fundamental difficulties that can pop up in any close group, sharing resources, managing different expectations, dealing with power imbalances. Maybe these issues aren't unique just to this family structure.
That's a really interesting question. Do these struggles reflect something more universal about human group dynamics, just amplified by the specific circumstances? Something definitely worth mulling over.